What's good, YouTube? Chris from Team Innovation here, bringing you guys another discussion today. Today's discussion will be about me basically explaining that we are in a transitional period of Yu-Gi-Oh! And all of you guys, including myself, need to really stop complaining and just accept that fact. Now, for you guys that do not know what transitional period is, a transitional period is basically when you change it from one thing slowly into another. I can honestly say we're probably at the end of the transitional period right now with this current format we have because right now we only have four decks that are pretty solid. Five if you count Evil Storm, but Evil Storm is not really a deck. It's like one of those last decks from the old format, from the past basically, that's still trying to cling on to us. Now, examples of transitional formats, transitional periods in the game. Think back in 2002 when the game first came out. It originally started with beast stick monsters, Gemini elves, goblin attack forces. The main goal of just attacking your opponent, beating over their face, timing your mirror forces, and ring of destructions. Cards like Injection Fear Lily were used a lot, and it was pretty much just beast stick phase, top deck, smashing ground, etc. And as the game slowly transitioned year after year after year, it got faster and faster and faster. Cards started getting released like Cyber Dragon, and players were interacting, making their own decks over and over and over and over again. Then we got to the Synchro era where it transitioned into a fuck ton of speed. Things were super fast. Players were angry. Players quit. Players came back. And then everything just kind of settled because everyone got used to the transition. And then fast forward to the XYZ era, 2012, which was my return into Yu-Gi-Oh! Things got even more faster because it was just like synchros, but you didn't need a tuner, and every deck can do it, and things got crazy. People got mad, people quit, and then older decks started to fade away. A great example of the deck started to fade away was Plant Synchro, and Plant Synchro honestly was on its thread at the start of the XYZ format, and it just kind of died going into like Yudoka format because a lot of the deck got hit. And then even now that we brought a lot of the cards back from the deck, it just won't be viable because the game has evolved to the point where it's like that deck will not be relevant. It'll be decent, but it won't be relevant. Like you can have a good hand and still lose. That's how irrelevant that deck is right now. Now we have the format where we're coming in the era, the Arc V era, the new shit that we have that we're in right now. It's just crazy. The speed of the game right now is ridiculous. Every deck can do 20 different things. The Clifford monsters all have like 3 to 5 different effects. Shadows all have like 2 to 3 different effects. Same thing goes for Burning Abyss. Satel Knights, while they all might not have different effects, the deck flows so well with keeping advantage and control. It pretty much is just one of those things where it's not the best, but it's just as good. It's almost up there. It's at the bottom of the totem pole. Basically canceling out, basically Satel Knights is a deck that basically says, I do everything a lot of these older decks do, but better. I am the newer format Gadgets, and I am the newer format Evil Sworn and Constellars. So what's the point of this video? The point of this video is to let you guys know we are in a transitional period. And even though I said it already, the whole point of this transitional period, that's what I'm trying to help you guys explain. It was gonna have to happen eventually, like throughout every era of the game, from normal monster beat down to synchros to fusions to XYZs. The game had to get faster to keep our interest in the game. Can you imagine if we just kept on playing? If I just kept playing Gadgets, if you guys that kept playing Fire Kings, Gear Gifts, just kept playing the same decks over and over and over, year after year after year. We got support here and there for the decks that are generic. The game would get boring and players will quit. So the game, honestly, it had to get fresh. It had to get fresher eventually. I mean, this is something that was gonna eventually happen. I think that's something we need to honestly just accept. And it goes for all card games. It goes for Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Pokemon, etc. It goes for all card games. Every card game has a transition period. Hell, some card games, Pokemon being mainly one of them, and Magic, cycle cards out, so they force you to transition. At least in Yu-Gi-Oh, we could still play with our older decks. We might not do well, but at least we could still play with them. At least we have that viability. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, guys, accept the transition. There's nothing we can do about it, and understand that it's needed to keep the game fresh. And honestly, it's needed to keep money in Konami's pocket. But Konami is still giving us the luxury of playing with our older decks. They're just not going to support our older decks anymore. We might get support down the line here and there, but for the most part, we're not going to get that lot of support. So I know a lot of you guys don't like it, but put it this way, and this is something I honestly thought about. Right now, we are still in the early area of the transition. The game just fully transitioned into only 4 decks can really compete: Burning Abyss, Shadows, Beat, Cliff Dwarves, and Stellar Knights. Give it another set or two, we'll get more decks. And then give it another set or two after that, we get more decks plus extra cards to build around older decks. So I can honestly say by summer, with re-releases of stuff, ban list adjustments, and newer cards, we will have a multitude of cards that can help us keep up with the format and a multitude of new decks to play with. I honestly think a lot of players are just freaking out right now because we only really have it's only really a 4 deck format, really a 3 deck format, but it's a ton of nights in the hands of the right player can still compete. So guys, honestly, just don't freak out. Accept the transition. It's needed to make the game better. Now, if you guys don't like this transition, you can always quit and come back later, or just quit and be done with the game. Either way, the game's going to transition with or without you. So, with all that being said, I hope I didn't come off as a douche in this video. It's just something I realized once just doing some reflection on this game. I mean, the transition was going to happen, and it happened for a reason. And eventually, 3 years from now, when the Arc 5 era is gone and we get a new era of Yu-Gi-Oh! If the game even lasts that long, not saying that it won't, but just for whatever reason, if it don't, but if we do last another long, we're going to get another transition making everything else irrelevant. So it's just something that's going to happen, and then everyone's going to be like, man, I want to play my Cliff Force, I want to play my Shadows, I want to play my BA. And it's going to be like, well, new era happened. The old era is over. That shit ain't flying no more. So, enough rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. To give it a big thumbs up and show your support. As always, comment down in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on this video at hand. And also, if you're a new viewer to this channel, feel free to subscribe, where I do tons of competitive content, discussions, dual videos, card reviews, and tournament reports. This was Chris from Team Innovation. I am signing out. Have a good night, guys. Deuces.